Hi there, it's Nicole here today from Mama Elephant with a thank you card featuring the Little Boy Agenda stamps and dies and the grid window die. I love the Little Agenda collection of stamps and dies from Mama Elephant. They've got cats, dogs, boys, and girls. Today I'm going to focus on the little boys, and they're so super fun. I'm going to start by laying out the components that I want to use for my card so that I have an idea how everything's going to work. So that grid window is the big window die there. It's A2 sized. Next, from the Park Avenue die collection, I'm using the Thought Bubble, the Little Boy Agenda stamps and dies, a thank you greeting from the Thank You Wishes stamp set, and then the thanks script die. I'm going to lay out the Little Boy Agenda images I'm going to be using, ink those up with a black ink for Copic coloring, and stamp them on some Neenah smooth white cardstock. I'm coloring in the images with Copic markers. I have sped this up a little bit to save some time in the video. However, I did leave in all of the coloring, and the colors of Copic markers I'm using are shown across the bottom of the screen. Starting with skin tones first, and then I will move on to hair, and finally finish with the clothes and the accessories or things that the little boys are holding. You could color these with any type of coloring medium that you prefer. They're very small, so as far as blending goes, you don't have to do a ton with your Copic markers. I generally stick to only about 2 shades per color family, 3 at the very most, but that's really rare. 2 pretty much get you what you need in such small images. The hair is probably the only exception to that, simply to get that look of hair with the nice feathering. But it's really minimal and it's such a small space, so I just do a really quick color. Here is the rest of the hair. I'll go ahead and fill that in first. I went through and tried to do maybe 2 or 3 images at the same time for a nice variety. Just kind of depended on what I felt like, I guess. Even a little red-headed boy here. Quite a few Copic markers have been used for this card, simply because I think an assortment of colors when you're using so many images really adds a great look and feel to the card. And when I go and add the rainbow background for behind the grid window, it helps these images pop. Much like I did the skin and hair, I'm going to kind of move around and do an assortment. So I tried to do a couple of pair of overalls at one time. I'll try to do some red images. I actually went ahead and skipped on to a yellow balloon. Just kind of moved wherever the mood struck, I guess, with the coloring. I love the little boy holding the basketball. I think that's really fun. Pretty much stuck with bright rainbow primary colors for the coloring here as far as the clothing and any accessories they might be holding. The only real exception to that is this kind of blue aqua color combination, or brighter blue, I guess I want to say. I have kind of a denim blue color combination and then more of an aqua blue color combination. The shoes, for the most part, except for the rain boots, I stuck with my cool gray markers, the same I used for the hair. Very, very quick coloring here, but that made coloring in their shoes really fast. And the rain boots, I went with some yellow. I think it's fun to watch these little images come to life. I especially love, they are so small that they work really well to frame up in something like this grid window, or other types of dies that have little windows like this, little storybook dies, all kinds of neat little things like this. They work really well in small little die cut spaces. And I think that that's really fun because you can use so many more of these on a card design than you could with a larger scaled image. They're just so fun, and the capabilities of mixing and matching not only the little boy and little girl agenda, but maybe mixing in the little cat or little dog agenda. The possibilities are really endless. There are so many images in each stamp set. For example, the boy set here, and I believe the girl set is the same, there are 16 little boy images or little girl images depending on the stamp set you're using. And that's a ton, and they all are doing different things. You can mix and match them. They're just really, really cute. Finish coloring in just a few little areas here. It looks like I've got this arrow, got a couple of shirts, and a pair of overalls. Just really quick coloring. I moved pretty fast once I figured out what color combinations I wanted to use. It was very easy. I'll go ahead and take the coordinating little boy agenda dies, line them up, and die cut those and the script thanks from that piece of Nina's smooth white cardstock. I die cut everything at the same time. One pass of the machine and I have all of my little images. I've die cut the long thought bubble from the Frame Tags Park Avenue die collection using black cardstock, stamping a greeting from the Thank You Wishes stamp set on that with Versamark ink, and then I'll heat emboss with white embossing powder. I love the greetings from this stamp set. They're really clever. The greeting is going to read on this card, "Thanks. Who is the most awesome person today? You are." And I just think that's really fun. It's just kind of cute and funny, and I think it'll bring a smile to anyone's face. Go ahead and heat set this little long thought bubble. And there's the greeting. On a piece of Bristol Smooth White cardstock, I am going to blend candied apple, spiced marmalade, fossilized amber, and I'm going to go back and forth in between these, blending them really well. I really think you can only get about 5 colors per panel, simply because of the size of the ink blending tool. If you use something a little smaller, you might be able to get more if you wanted to. But with the size and scale of these ink blending tools, I think about 5 is as many as you can get. That was some Twisted Citron for the green, and finally Salty Ocean for the blue. And I want to make sure and move back and forth and get a nice seamless transition from one color to the next. Really important to get that before I spritz it with water from a distress sprayer to add even more interest. Blot that dry with a paper towel. And this is actually going to go back behind the grid window, so you'll just see little pops of color through all those little window openings. There's what it's going to kind of look like. On the script thanks die cut greeting, I am going to use the Salty Ocean Distress ink to add a little bit of color. It's going to be a bit of an ombre effect where it's going to be darker near the bottom and lighter up near the top till almost white. So I want to work to get a nice ombre effect of light to dark here on this greeting. Customize the color with some ink to make it match the rest of the card perfectly. And I went ahead and left all those little inside pieces in my letters for now. I can pop those out in a little bit when I go ahead and start putting the card together. I'm going to go ahead and put the rainbow background directly on the white top fold card base. Then I have some foam adhesive. These are really low profile scrapbook adhesives, thin squares. And I'm going to pull the backing paper off all of these. I went ahead and already did this part. Pull these all off and then pop this right over my rainbow background. Then I need to place the greetings so that I make sure and don't cover up any of those with any of the little boy images. So I'm going to put some little dots of glue kind of down the center of the script thanks and glue that right on top of the grid window frame. And then I'm going to use some foam adhesive on this thought bubble greeting and pop it underneath. I put it up too high to begin with. It's covered up by that little loop there on the T, and I thought at first that that was going to work, but once I get all of the little boys put in the windows, I didn't think the spacing was good, and it looks much better lowered down just a little bit, so I am going to very carefully pop that up and move it down after I get all of the little boys adhered. And I'm using some foam adhesive for them as well. In fact, the first little boy that I adhered straddles two of the windows, and that's on purpose. He's the largest image, I think, in that stamp set, and he really doesn't fit within one window. And where the loop and the top of the T kind of cross a part of that window, and it's definitely the most covered up out of any of the rest of them, I decided to have him cover two squares instead for a little bit of added interest, and that way he doesn't get covered up. I'm just going around adding all of these little guys in their windows. Here's the last one. And this is really where I decided I needed to move that thought bubble greeting down. So I've moved it down just a little bit. I'll go ahead and pop that right back in place. This looks so much better, I think, as far as spacing goes. And I'm going to finish my card with some Nouveau Crystal Glaze over the script greeting, and then over some of the elements like the signs that the boys are holding, arrows, the balloons, little things like that. The Nouveau Crystal Glaze is very similar to Glossy Accents. I'm just trying it out. I absolutely love it. I do think I want to see if I can put a fine tip applicator on this for a little bit better control, but it just goes on super smooth. Just like all of the Nouveau products, I really love the application of them and how they go on. Just really awesome. So really excited to see this absolutely clear product from them, as opposed to something that might have a little bit a tint of color to it. Once I have the Nouveau Crystal Glaze on some of the embellishments, I'm going to let this sit and dry really well, probably for about 24 hours or so, until it's completely dry and hardened, and my card is all finished. Thanks for joining me today for this card showcasing the Mama Elephant Little Boy Agenda stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.